Avot this morning, continuing with our study. This is in the fifth Perek, Perek Hamishi, in Mishnah Yudchet, the 18th Mishnah. What does it say over there? כל המזכה את הרבים, אין חטא בא על ידו, וכל המחטיא את הרבים, אין מספיקים בידו לעשות תשובה. So translated into English, that means that anyone who gives merit to the people, if he causes them to do mitzvot and Torah, so no sin comes to his hand. And if a person causes others to sin, his fellow Jews, he causes them to sin, so then what they do is they lock him out of teshuvah. They don't allow him to do teshuvah. He's locked out of teshuvah. That's what it says in Pirkeh Avot. And just to give you a taste of what it says in the Mefarshim and the commentaries regarding this, Rashi explains what the reason is for this. And also Rabbi Ovadia Mibartenura on the Pirkei Avot, and Rashi on the Gemara in Mem Zayin Amud Aleph in Masechet Sotam, they say over there the same thing. They say that because we don't want that if the rabbi who causes people to do mitzvot and masim tovim, good deeds, and Torah, how can it be that he can come to sin? Why? Because if he comes to sin, his Talmidim, his disciples will be in Gan Eden, will be in the Garden of Eden, and he himself will wind up in Gehinnom, in purgatory. How can it be such a thing like that, right? They can't be separated, so therefore they have to be both in the same place. So therefore, in order they shouldn't be separated, the Talmidim, the disciples, and the rabbi, so therefore they don't allow the rabbi to come to do sin, in order they should be separated, as we said. Same thing also applies the other way, that if one causes his disciples to sin, the people who follow him, so what happens is that now they don't allow him to do teshuvah. Why? Because he caused them to sin. They're going to Gehinnom. They're going to purgatory. So he also has to go with them. He can't be separated. So therefore, they don't allow him to do teshuvah. Because if he does teshuvah, he will be in Gan Eden. He will be in the Garden of Eden. This is the simple explanation of what's going on here. A very interesting explanation itself. But there's also some questions which come up regarding this, because we're talking about something very, very powerful, very crucial, very vital here. Because people will ask, okay, so what? Just if I cause somebody to sin, let's say once in my life, when I was 18 years old, I was a kid, 16 years old, I was a teenager. I caused some people to sin. I did some bad things. I was a bad boy. I did some bad things. You know how it is. We're kids. We went through the stage. We did all kinds of bad things. So we cause people to sin. So what does that mean? All my life they won't let me to do teshuvah because I caused people to sin. Is this what it means? And also the other way around. What if, let's say, the person was a good boy for a couple of years. He went to yeshiva and he caused other people to do mitzvot. He helped them. He taught them Torah. He taught them mitzvot. He taught them how to do the mitzvot properly. So because of that, all his life they won't allow him to do sin. What about if he stops teaching Torah and he goes out of yeshiva and he goes to work, and then he starts to do all kinds of sins and all kinds of things? So what? They won't allow him to sin all his life because he did some good things when he was 18 years old in yeshiva? Is that how it works? Doesn't seem to make any sense, right? So the truth is that there is actually a perush, also something a little bit deeper, in the words of the Maharsha on the Gemara. Which Gemara is this? This is Masechet Sanhedrin, Kuf Zayin Amud Bet. It says over there a little bit differently. What does this mean? This whole idea that when you cause people to do mitzvot and masim tovim, good deeds, so they don't allow you to sin. They don't bring you to sin. And when you cause them to sin, they don't allow you to do teshuvah. So he says the reason is because what happens is that it's known, the Chazal tell us, that every time a person does a good deed, so what happens is that he creates an angel, and this angel protects him from all kinds of harm, all kinds of things. It helps him, and it's like a defensive angel, to help him to get out of rough spots, to get out of all kinds of difficulties in life. And it should also speak well about him and say good things about him, like a defense attorney. That's what he has. So every time he does something good, or he causes other people to do something good, he gets another angel, which is a defense attorney. So what happens is that every time he does that, he gets another one. So because of that, what happens is that since he has so many now defense attorneys, these angels, they don't allow him to come to sin. This is what happens, because they protect him from sinning, all these angels. And this is the reason why a person who causes others to do good things, so they don't allow him to sin, because those angels are protecting him. Same thing the other way around. When a person does bad deeds, so what happens is that he creates bad angels that cause him to sin and cause him harm and cause him accusation, all kinds of bad things. So what happens is that now, all of a sudden, these bad angels don't allow him to do teshuvah. This is exactly what happens. Why they don't allow him to do teshuvah? Because he's a bad boy. They know he has a bad reputation. They say, oh, he's a bad boy. He causes people to sin. He's a bad one. So those angels, they say, what? We're not allowing you to do teshuvah. We're not going to let you penetrate into that zone. Forget about that. We're not going to let you in there. So you're going to have to stay out. You're going to have to be locked out of there. This is the idea. This is how the Maharsha explains. So the truth is that now, if you understand a little bit deeper this Maharsha, it's going to help you to understand the question we just asked before, which is what? How can it be that if one time a person caused people to sin, they won't let him to do tshuva all his life, until the 120th good year? Or let's say the other way around, right? If he caused people to do good things, so they won't allow him to sin all his life because of that? The truth is, we find that, in history, and we find in the books, and it's not like that. It doesn't work like that. A person who changes his direction in life, he can come to all kinds of different things according to his new predicament. It's not going to protect him all his life because he did this or that when he was younger. So the truth is, right, that this Maharsha gives us a little bit leeway to understand what this means. And the truth is that if you also look in the language of the Pirkeh Avot, you're going to see also another allusion to see what this means. Because the language is like this. כל המזכה את הרבים אין חטא בא לידו, וכל המחטיא את הרבים אין מספיקים לו על בידו לעשות תשובה. So it's like using here a present tense, right? What does that mean? That if you cause others to sin, they won't let you do teshuvah, and if you cause others to do good things, they won't let you do sin. So it's using a present form, not past. That once you did that before in your life somewhere, we're not talking about that. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that it's present tense. What does that mean? It's like a continuous cycle that you're constantly doing this all the time, causing people to do more mitzvot, more masim tovim. This today, tomorrow, the next week, the next year. It goes on and on and on. And if you do this, so then what happens is that they'll protect you from doing a sin all your life. Why is that? Because you're constantly doing this all the time, causing people to do more mitzvot and more Torah, and this kind of thing. So therefore, what happens is that they won't allow you to sin if you keep going in this way, in this direction. Same thing the other way as well. What does that mean? If you keep going and causing other people to sin, so they won't allow you to do teshuvah. Why is that? Because those bad angels that you created, you keep creating more and more and more. So each time you create more and more, they keep you away from doing teshuvah. They lock you out. But the question is now like this. Let's say if a person caused other people to do good things, or he caused other people to sin, and then all of a sudden he decided to stop, and he said, enough is enough. That's it. I'm going now. I'm quitting this already. So if he quits, what happens is that eventually those angels, those good angels or bad angels that he created, eventually they'll die out, and those angels will be neutralized. So what will happen is that eventually he can go now the other way. So it won't stop him anymore. So what do I mean to say? What I mean to say is that a person can cause other people to sin, but then if he cease and desist, and go the other way now, try to stop causing people to sin, you don't do it anymore. So eventually what will happen is that they'll allow you to come in and to do tshuva. Why is that? Because you're not creating any more of these bad angels that are accusing you and locking you out. This is the idea. So what happens is that this is the implication of the language of Pirkei Avot. It's talking about present tense, continuous present tense. You're always doing it. That's the idea. If you did it one time, doesn't mean all your life you're going to be locked out, or the other way around as well. If you did good things, doesn't mean it's going to protect you all your life because you did one good thing 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you're going to be protected all your life. It doesn't work like that. There is some protection still afforded, even later on. It goes on for a long time. But as time goes on, the protection becomes weaker, or the accusation becomes weaker. Either way you want to go. So what happens is that this is the whole idea. But the question is, can we corroborate this also in other ways to make sure that we're learning this the proper way, to understand the proper way? So the truth is that there is a famous Gemara regarding this issue. This halakha, by the way, which we just mentioned in the Mishnah, is brought down in the Rambam. It's brought down in halacha. It's not something which is just some kind of a theoretical thing. So the Rambam Paskins, in Hilchot Tshuva, and the laws of Tshuva, laws of penitence, if a person causes others to sin, they won't allow him to do Tshuva. If he causes them to do good things, they won't allow him to sin. Just like we mentioned. But now the question is, can we bring some corroboration from this Gemara? What is the Gemara talking about? There's a Gemara in Masechet Sotah, Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. Over there talking about two bad boys that we had in the Jewish people who were sinners and they caused other people to sin. Who was that? One of them was Gehazi. Gehazi was the attendant of Elisha Navi, the prophet Elisha. Elisha, the prophet, was a very, very holy man, super, super holy, but he was also he was a tough man. He was a person who didn't tolerate sinful behavior. So what happened was that as Gehazi sinned by taking these from Naaman, the general of Aram, he took his money in order and his possessions that he bought as a gift, even though Elisha didn't want to take them. So he did that behind Elisha's back. So we find brought down in the book of the Kings this story with Elisha and Gehazi. So what happened was that Elisha, with Ruach HaKodesh, with divine inspiration, he found out that Gehazi put his hand in a cookie jar. He went and took Naaman, and he took that money from him, even though Elisha didn't want him to do that. He did it behind his back. So once he found out, he cursed him, and he became a leper. So all his life he had tzara'at. Tzara'at is not leprosy; it's a little bit different. But whatever it is, the point is that he was diseased all his life, and until the day he died, because he did the sin of taking the money of Naaman. It's a whole story over there. I won't get into it now. Look in the Book of Kings, and you'll see over there. But what happens is that, what do we see from there? That Gehazi was a little bit too tough with I'm sorry. So Elisha was a little bit too tough with Gehazi. He pushed him away with two hands. He shouldn't have been so rough with him. He should have tried to also bring him in. People like this who are lightheaded, people who are sinners, who are not so stable, a little bit unstable, a little bit nutty. So what happens is you have to be careful with them. Don't push them too much away. Don't push them too much in. You have to push. One arm pushes them out. One arm pushes them in. That's what it says, right? In the Gemara over there, in this Gemara that we just mentioned. So what happens is that he pushed him away a little bit too much. So as a result, he went and he did some kind of a very big sin to cause also other people to sin. He went to Damascus, the city in Syria, and he opened up over there some kind of a spectacle that there was some kind of an idol over there that he caused with sorcery. The idol should speak to people, and this caused them to believe in the idolatry. So therefore, he caused people to sin into idolatry. Gehazi. So what happened was that once Elisha found out that Gehazi went up there to Damascus to play these games, he went up there and tried to retrieve him back. He told him, listen, come back, do teshuvah. Isn't it time now? You've already been a bad boy for a long time. Let's set things straight. So what does Gehazi tell him? Gehazi says, I'm sorry, Rabbi, but I cannot do teshuvah right now. It's already too late, You should have tried with me a little bit beforehand, maybe. Because now I cause people to sin. I did this idolatry thing. I pulled a stunt over here and made people believe in idolatry. So it tells them, it says, I learned from you. You're my rabbi. You taught me that a person who causes others to sin, they don't allow them to do teshuvah. I can't do teshuvah anymore. Come on, what are you trying to tease me for? I can't do teshuvah. It's already too late. So he tells them, listen, go back to Israel. There's no point in you staying over here and bothering yourself, just for me. I'm not going to be able to do teshuvah. And the same thing we find on the same Gemara there later on in the same page, Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. He talks also about Yeshua Natzari, Yeshua. What happened was that his rabbi was Yeshua ben Pirkeh. Yeshua ben Pirkeh also understood the character of Yeshua, that he was a bad boy. He was checking out ladies who are married, looking at their features, their eyes, all kinds of things. He was, being a bad boy. So what happened was he threw him out of the yeshiva. And then what happened was that Yeshua tried to come back. There was a misunderstanding. So in the end, what happened was that Yeshua got pushed out. So it says in the Gemara, once Yeshua got pushed out of the yeshiva, right away, what did he do? He took a brick and he built some kind of idolatry. He built some kind of a church or some kind of idol, and he started to do idolatry and heresy, and it caused Jewish people to sin over there. He caused them he did all kinds of sorcery also to cause them to sin, to believe in all kinds of false things. He was a bad boy. He caused others to sin. He sinned himself, caused also other people to sin. What happened was that because of that, also, the same thing happened to him. That what? That Yeshua ben Pirkeh, once he heard that Yeshua went on a bad way like this, opened up a church, a house of idolatry, so he went and spoke to him and told him, let's do teshuvah, I'll take you back, it's time now. You can't go on forever like this, living a sinful life. So Yeshua tells him the same answer. He tells him, but I learned from you, you're my rabbi. Once you cause other people to sin, they don't want you to do teshuvah. So, you came a little bit too late. That's already too late for me. So the truth is, that if you look at this Gemara, it's very interesting. Does it really fit into the narrative that we just mentioned? And what does that mean? The explanation that we said regarding how it is, how it works with this, that if a person caused other people to sin one time or always. So what really happened over here, according to what we said? That these two, right, sinners, Gehazi and Yeshu, they were saying to their rabbi that, we caused other people to sin. It's already too late for us. So the truth is that they weren't really being so precise, but in a sense they were. What does that mean? They were saying right now, we're going in a sinful way. We're causing other people to sin. We're causing other people to believe in idolatry and heresy. So what happens is that because of that, we're locked out of teshuvah. So, according to what we explained, how do we explain this Gemara? So the way of explaining it is that what they told to their rabbis was, they said, right now we're not able to do teshuvah, that we're locked out. But, maybe later on, if we stop causing other people to sin later on, so then we'll be able to come in. But right now, this is not the time for us to do teshuvah because we're causing other people to sin. They won't allow us to come in. They were locked out. So what does that mean? That here also, the Gemara is trying to tell you the same thing, that these two were not able to do teshuvah because at that time they were causing other people to sin. But the way we have to understand it, otherwise it becomes very, very difficult to fathom this whole thing, is that once a person decides, you know what, I'm going to stop causing people to sin. I'm going to stop. I'm being a bad boy. I've been a bad boy. I'll announce in public that, all the things that I did were all lies and heresy and nonsense and ridiculous, all kinds of things like this. I'll announce this in public. I'll get people to understand that all of what I caused them to do was bad. So eventually what happens is that it starts to dissipate and mitigate this effect. Little by little, this effect of what they did, causing other people to sin, can be rectified, even though it can take quite a long time. Because once you start causing people to sin in a very big way, with large numbers and large statistics, all kinds of things like this. So what happens, data, we all collect the data, like the scientists say. So when you have such data like that, where you cause so many people to sin, it's already hard to get out of it. The deeper you go, dig the ditch, the deeper you go into the ditch, the harder it is to get out. So the truth is, right, that a person who causes others to sin in a big way, and right on a big scale, it's going to take him longer and longer because those angels, according to what the Maharsha said in the Gemara Masachat Sanhedrin, that he caused so many angels to be created, were holding him back because he caused other people to sin, and when it was on a big scale already, the scale was already so big that he's not able to come back anymore because those angels, the accusation against him is holding him back from coming back. So this is the idea of a type. So the truth is that what's the final take over here? The final take is like this, that you probably won't find, you will find many people that cause other people to sin, and it doesn't mean that they never were able to do teshuvah. So what does that mean? The ones that the effect of what they did, that they caused others to sin, was mitigated, was minimized, time passed, and they already stopped that, they ceased, they desisted from that. So if they desisted, what happens is that eventually they will open up the gates for them to do teshuvah. Why is that? Because those accusing angels already are not so powerful. Some of them may not even be alive anymore. Maybe they already died. They already got canceled out. So what happens is that once a person goes in the other direction, little by little, you can start to open up the doors. It may take longer time depending on how much damage he did. The more damage that he did, the more time it's going to take to mitigate the effects of what he did, to reverse the effect. And that's the idea. So you see from here, by the way, how severe it is that a person, when he starts to sin, he causes other people to sin as well. He causes them to err and to make mistakes. and all kinds of things like this. So what happens is that eventually, he goes in so deep into this that it's already too late for him to get out. He can't get out of it. It's already, it's like a dug a big ditch for himself. There's no way to pull out of there. So a person has to be careful. Don't go too far with these things. If a person causes other people to sin, so what should he do? Right away, the best thing to do. Right now, he's locked out of doing teshuvah because he's causing others to sin. So what he has to do first of all is to cease, stop that negative activity, and once he stops, little by little, it can be reversed. Even though it's going to be difficult to do that, it's not going to be easy. But eventually, when there's a will, there's a way. They say, right? When a person wants to do teshuvah, they open the gates for him. As we find also with King Menashe, who was a very wicked king, he caused other people to sin very, very greatly. Nevertheless, Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed him to come into the teshuvah. Right? Nobody caused people to sin like Menashe, the wicked king of Yehuda. Nevertheless, Kadosh Baruch Hu did allow him to come into the teshuvah. So you see from there, it's a very good example. Right? The Chazal tell us that he wasn't over 30 years and he was in teshuvah Menashe. Altogether, he was a king for 52 years, and over 30 years he was in teshuvah. So we see that Kadosh Baruch Hu did allow him to come in, and even though there's all kinds of issues about that, whether his teshuvah was sincere or not sincere, whatever it is, the point is that he did something good there, even though he wasn't able to reverse totally the damage that he did. As the Chazal say, right, that he did so much damage in the country since he was a king, and he was authoritative, and he was an autocrat, a great ruler. So therefore, he caused other people to sin. He influenced them. Whatever he decreed, they did. So therefore, he caused so much sin, so much damage. The truth is, they say that all the damage that he did wasn't able to be rectified from the fact that he did teshuvah, because the damage was very, very, very great. He was causing others to sin for a very, very long time. Nevertheless, he still did teshuvah. He got in. So we see from the Rabbi that nevertheless, a person should never give up. You should never say, I've been a bad boy. I caused other people to sin. I did all kinds of bad things. I caused people to get into heresy or into idolatry or, Gilui Arayot, to forbidden relations, all kinds of things like this. I caused them all kinds of sin. Not too late anyway. Nevertheless, a person should still try. It's going to take time. It may take a couple of years, several years, whatever it is. Eventually, if he ceases, and he can come in. So now the other way around as well. So what does that mean? That if a person, let's say, calls other people to do good deeds and Torah and mitzvot, so he also, if a person stops this and desists, and he goes out, and stops learning Torah, and he goes into the world of business, and all of a sudden he's not learning Torah anymore. Eventually, what will happen is that those good deeds that he did will wear down, and it will get weaker and weaker as time goes along. So then eventually he can come to sin. What does that mean? That now those protective angels that he made already are too weak and too old and too frail. So therefore they're not going to protect you from sinning anymore. So the whole thing is like this over time. That's why the language of Pirkeh Avot is a present tense. What does that mean? That when we say that a person is protected from sinning because he causes other people to have merits, we're talking about that he constantly does that. He doesn't stop. That's the idea. And he do it all the time, on a regular basis. So there, what happens is that they protect you from sinning. They won't allow you to sin. But if a person stops, desists from causing people to do good deeds and mitzvot and masim tovim and Torah, so eventually that also will be mitigated and minimized, and it can be reversed. Right? And this is exactly what the Chazal said in the Gemara. You know what they say? Something very severe. Right? Who's considered to be the worst out of all Jews? The one who studied Torah, he knows how good it is to study Torah, and then he left Torah, he abandoned Torah. He went into Wall Street, he went into business, he went to internet, whatever, to do business over there. How can you, after you know the sweetness of learning Torah, after you know the greatness of Torah, how can you leave the Torah? You're studying and learning Torah all day, and then you go out to do business, right? There's nothing worse than that. That means that all the what you did, you don't really respect that. You don't really consider it to be something real. It was something just, we were kids, we were learning, and now we got to get into real life, and going to business. This is the way. This is the right way. Once a person knows the sweetness of the Torah, and he leaves the Torah and he goes into business, he's considered to be the worst of the worst. Nobody worse than him, right? So what does that mean? Since he's considered to be such a bad person, the person who leaves, abandons the Torah after he knows how good it is to be in the Torah. He was a Talmid Chacham, he was learning in Kollel, and all of a sudden he left the Kollel, and he went and he became a doctor. What doctor? What doctor? You were a Kollel guy. You were a rabbi. You were a Talmid Chacham. You're gonna be Gedol Ador. You're gonna be like Rav Vadia, like Rav Shach. You're gonna be like these people. What's it to you to now to get into business, to get into all kinds of things like this, all kinds of nonsense? Not that it's forbidden to do business, but once you know the greatness of the Torah, you were sitting and learning all day. How could you leave that and go? That means that you don't consider that nothing. It was just some kind of a accident, some kind of a freaky thing that happened in your life. It's not really something real, something lasting. So a person like that who eventually leaves the Torah, what happened is that eventually those mitzvot that he did, he caused other people to do good deeds. They will be little by little be minimized and mitigated, and eventually he can come to sin for himself as well, and also to cause other people to sin. So here also, Rabbi, what we have to understand is that what we see in the Pirkeh Avot, what they tell us, right, that a person causes, if a person causes people to do merits and good deeds and Torah and mitzvot, they don't allow him to do sin. That means he's doing it all the time. He's doing it constantly. That's the idea. If he stops and desists and goes away, and then he waits a few years, and then he can get totally lost from that. And the same thing the other way around every time. The way. This is the way it works. So therefore, what we see from here is that it's never too late to change your ways, the positive way and the negative way as well. That's the idea. So a person should never give up. He should always know that no matter how bad what he did was and how much damage he did, there's always hope. No reason to lock yourself out. If Menashe, the worst of the worst, was able to do teshuvah, all the more so we can do teshuvah. There's no question about that. That's what we can do with time. So the Baruch Hu should help us, that we should be on the side of the good and the side of teshuvah, and we should, as the sages say, the one who I'm saying the Ador. What does that mean? If he comes to cleanse himself from his sins, they assist him from Shemayim. They give him special assistance. What does that mean? Why is that so important? Because they say that if a person is not given assistance Mina Shemayim from the heavens to do the teshuvah, he himself on his own cannot do it. Why? Because the Satan has him now in his web. He's got him all entangled in all kinds of sins, all kinds of things like this. So the only way for him to get out, he needs divine assistance. And this is exactly what they do for him. They push him into teshuvah, they push him into the right direction. Because otherwise, if he doesn't get that push start, he doesn't get that momentum from heaven, he can't do it by himself. The Yetzer Hara is too strong. It has him entangled in all kinds of webs, all kinds of filthy places and filthy ideas and all kinds of things like this. So they come and they help him. So therefore, Rabbi, person should never give up. No matter what, it's never late to do teshuvah. And if we do teshuvah, Baruch Hu will bring for us Biat HaGoel, Biat HaMashiach, B'mhena v'yamenu. Amen v'amen. Chazak u'baruch. All the best. Lots of blessings. Healing for all the sick. And health and good health for all of us. Until we see the day of Shavuot, beginning of the Torah. Amen v'amen. Chazak u'baruch.